Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing gear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. Welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm Billy Goblay, your host, and today we are joined in the South Sumter Raider weight room on location. And today we have a special guest, none other than the head coach of the South Sumter Raiders. This is Mr. Ty Lawrence. Ty, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun watching these shows and stuff, so it's good to come on.
Yeah. A lot of people have been wanting to have you on, and believe it or not,
I seriously doubt that.
I'm dead serious. They tell me that all the time. They're like, when are you going to get Coach Lawrence on there, man?
My mom always told me I had a face made for radio.
For radio, gotcha. I've heard that same thing.
We're in the same boat.
Same boat. So, I've had several guests on that have all either played here. I've had one that didn't graduate from South Sumter High, but had the other guests have they're either alumni or had played a sport. But you didn't go to South Sumter High either. You were from another county.
Right. I'm a Leesburg boy, so
Leesburg.
Grew up in Leesburg, and which is not too far from here. But to be honest with you, I've never been to Bushnell until I drove over and interviewed with Coach Sherman and Bob Edwards. I didn't even know how to get to Bushnell,
wow.
And it's really not that far away. But I've never been over this way, so
right.
That was kind of. So first time I was in Bushnell I was 22 years old, and had to ask for directions.
They had MapQuest then.
Well, yeah. No, actually, when I drove over, I went all the way, got to Shady Brook there, and drove all the way out to the interstate.
Right.
And took the interstate south.
Oh, wow.
And I drove that way for a few months before I even found the other, the shorter routes. But
you were closer than you thought, but you weren't close enough.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I've heard the stories of you having a great high school career, playing at Leesburg High, alumni Yellow Jacket. What position did you play?
I played middle linebacker and offensive center. I don't know how good I was, but we had a very tight-knit group of kids that we still stay in contact today. We thought we were good,
right?
And was able to win a lot of games, and it was just a really fun time for me and my teammates. And we were pretty successful, and but a lot of that, just because we were so tight.
Right. So did you play middle school football at all?
Man, my dad was a coach, and so I've been around football, baseball, all the sports from a young age. Even before I could play, I went to practice with him.
Right.
And right before I finished sixth grade, at the time Leesburg, the middle school was 7th and 8th grade. And so when I was going from 6th to 7th, they banned the program, or they got rid of middle school football.
Oh, okay.
And they developed 2 middle schools in Leesburg. And so I wasn't able to play. And my dad was good friends with Ed Wolf there in Wildwood, and Mr. Wolf was like, bring him on over here to Wildwood. So there was a time there I thought about going to Wildwood to play middle school football, but didn't end up doing that. And so no, we didn't have middle school, but I did play Little League football back. I think that's what we called it, but it was 10, 11, and 12.
Yeah.
And that was always a good time. There's 6 or 7 teams. And we still talk about those days. We were the Redskins, and it came down to the Redskins and the Falcons. The Falcons were the other team.
Right.
That was always really good, and coached by a guy named Gene Ellis, and they had some battles. They're behind. It was behind. The field was behind Zares, which is, they call it Susan Street, and so they have a fence around the field. And when the Falcons and the Redskins played, I can remember as a kid, people would line the fence around that whole field, and it was just a cool time to we thought it was really cool. So
that's cool. Did you idolize anybody growing up? Like any former players? Like, do you want to be a linebacker or a quarterback? Everybody wants to be a quarterback.
No, I always want to be a linebacker.
Yeah.
When I was real little, my cousin played linebacker. Leesburg, his name was Mike Wood, and he was really good. Went on and played at Georgia, and came home. But, I always liked Brian Bosworth.
Yeah, Bos. Yeah.
That was back when I was a kid. You get your number shaved in your head. So I thought Bos was pretty good.
Yeah.
Always want to be a linebacker. Yeah. Always. So it was cool. I'm never a quarterback.
Never a quarterback. Yeah, everybody I talked to, they're like, I've always wanted to play, it was always offensive guys. I think Your Highness, because I thought Your Highness would want to be a defensive guy. And he's like, no, I want to play quarterback. And I was like, oh, well. I mean, he did play a little bit of quarterback in ninth grade, but I was like, it's funny to see who people idolize and then they go completely on the other side of the ball
right. I played quarterback in the Little League deal. Wasn't because I was any good. We never threw the ball. It was just I knew the plays.
Yeah.
And I could hand it off to the right people.
Right.
And so I did play a little bit of quarterback. I never wanted to.
Right.
Always wanted to play linebacker. That was I thought was the best position in the world.
Oh, yeah. So. Did you play any? Did you play baseball as well?
Love baseball. Played baseball, t-ball. All the way up, and all the way up to you're 15, and then time you get 15, you're at high school, and got to play baseball there at Leesburg. David Lee was my JV baseball coach. Was Coach Lee. Just a legend in high school baseball. He's won a few state championships, and Coach Wilson, Randy Wilson, who was a graduate from South Sumter, was my varsity coach, and Coach Wilson was just awesome. I mean, he knew how to coach every position, and was just, he was a great coach, great coach there at Leesburg, and he retired from there as well. But Leesburg also had a coach named Buddy Lowe, who was the head coach there. And I was, as a young kid growing up in Leesburg, everybody knows who Coach Lowe is.
Right.
His wife was my first grade teacher, and Coach Lowe won more when he retired. He won more high school games in the state of Florida than any coach.
Oh wow! I
want to say his record. He's got like 599 wins. He was like 1 win short of 600, and retired.
Oh well.
So it's something that sticks out. But he loved baseball. Also played soccer. Those leagues, like there were 7, 8, 9-year-olds, and then you go up to the next league, which was 10, 11, and 12. And
right.
Love soccer still. I love watching soccer today. My brother was a big time soccer player.
Really? I did not even. I had no idea about that about you. That's awesome, but I never even knew about it.
Yeah, we played on a team called Leesburg Paint. A guy named Dick Roush was our soccer coach.
Okay.
The other soccer team that was really good, I forget the name of, like Powell's Foodway or something.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is Terry Yoder, who has the T&D Concrete.
Right.
He was the coach of the other good team there.
Oh, wow.
So I don't. It was. Nobody probably knows that Terry coached soccer, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
So when you were in high school and you were and you got to play linebacker, did you want to go? Was there a college you wanted to go to, or was there someplace that you always?
You know, I grew up. There's a guy named Larry Moy who took me to a Florida State game, and when I was a young kid, and got to go in the locker room, and Deion Sanders was playing, and Bruce the Saint, I remember, was there on that team. And so I was hooked. I was a Florida State fan from that day on.
Right.
And always wanted to play at Florida State, but I mean, I was not that good.
Right.
And so, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that, I mean, you're not very fast, you know, you're not going to play at Florida State, but I was fortunate to play some college football, and but you know, Florida State was my dream school. But
Gotcha.
I knew that wouldn't happen.
So where did you end up going after college? Did you play college football?
Yeah, I signed at a school in Bolivar, Missouri called Southwest Baptist University.
Okay.
Their Division II program. Conference was really good conference. We probably the most dominant team in that conference was a team called Pittsburgh State, who's won a few national championships there, the Gorillas. Emporia State was in our conference.
I've heard of that.
Got to play against Leon Lett.
I was going to say that's where Leon Lett went. Yeah, that's awesome.
Leon Lett played there, and he didn't fumble the ball.
Yeah. Or touch the ball when that was a bad Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's where he played. So it was very good football. And that I was able to play 2 years there, and then transferred down to Valdosta State and played a year there, and then was done.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty much it.
So when you were growing up and you were playing sports, did you? I know your father did a lot of coaching and stuff. Did you have any other influences, like anybody else that kind of inspired you to keep going and not give up on what you wanted to do?
I've been extremely blessed with hanging out with coaches. I mean, the list is long with being around great coaches.
Right.
When I was a kid, I actually Coach Gene Foster, who actually was a coach here at South Sumter years ago, and he was my next door neighbor. And so, I would go and spend some time with Coach Foster when I was a kid. And, great man, great school teacher. I mean, he taught chemistry, taught upper level classes, and was just a great guy. And my high school coach, Ken Weir, great coach. Played for a couple state championships when he was at Dunedin High School, and they haven't done anything close since he's left there.
Gotcha.
Coach Nick Hyder, was the head coach at Valdosta High School and won probably 20 state championships and a few national championships. And,
oh, wow.
Emmett Sherman, I mean, daggum legend, got to spend a lot of time with Emmett. And Rick Darlington I got to coach with. And so I've been very fortunate. Randy Wilson, I mean, even though it's baseball, Randy Wilson knew the game of baseball just in and out. I mean, just really intrigued by how Coach Wilson used to just really know every position. That's hard.
Right.
It's hard for coach, third base and catcher and pitcher. And, But so I've been very, very fortunate to have been around some great coaches.
Right.
Try to pick up a few things from each one, and think back a long time ago. And but my dad was my first coach, and he did things the right way.
Yeah.
He was teaching me things that not necessarily here you learn this, but he lived it.
Right.
One of the biggest things I think for head coaches is spending time with their kids away from the game.
Right. Right.
And so we would always have kids at the house.
Yeah.
Me as a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid, and all these older players would come back that were out of high school and they were in college, or they would drop by and visit with my dad and stuff. I used to eat that up.
Oh yeah.
And so having all those great coaches and picking that stuff up, I just thought it's been great.
Well, I think it's important to be around several people to pick up, like you said, pick up different things about and kind of form a character, like, your multiple personalities, multiple characters of each person. I think it's important. I mean, if you're going to go and shape young minds.
Yeah, they all did it different ways.
Right.
Coach Weir and Coach Darlington, they were those guys that was just like, it was, you went after it. It was aggressive. Right. It was get after it, and Coach Sherman's style is a little bit different than that, and Coach Wilson, you'd be in the batter's box and, you watch 2 pitches go down the middle.
Yeah.
I step out of the batter box and look at him, and he just turns around. That was his style.
Yeah.
Which didn't bother me.
Right.
It would bother kids today.
Right.
It would bother parents today. Like,
yeah.
Why am I even looking down there?
Yeah.
I just watched 2 pitches go right down the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. He should walk away like, well, why are you looking at me? You just watched 2 go down the middle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just different styles, So, everybody's different.
Yeah. I think it's important, like, to have those people in your life. But like you said, if they have different styles that nowadays people don't adapt very well to. Like my dad, when he coached, he was very vocal, but he was like, he would say something, and nowadays you're like, oh my gosh, you can't say that, man, because it's changed. But back in the day, it was nobody thought anything of it.
I think if the kids know you love them, if they know you're doing things the right way, and I think you can coach. I still think you can coach kids hard.
Yeah.
If they know, you just can't come off the street and coach them hard now.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No.
But if they believe in you and that you have that trust with them, and they know you're on their side.
Right.
I still think you can coach them hard.
Right.
At least I don't think I coach as hard as I used to, as far as, but I still coach them hard. They'll tell you, They also tell you I'll hug their daggone neck and kiss them on the cheek, but I'll get in their butt too.
Yeah, yeah. When I had Boo on, we were talking about the guy who took over at Trinity Catholic and how he wasn't from there, and it didn't go very well because he was like an outsider, and everybody was like, "That's not how we do things."
Yeah.
And, he tried to change a few things, and I don't know exactly what he was trying to do, but like he tried to put a plan in order, and everybody was like, "Nah, you're not even from here. You don't know what's going on." But it's crazy.
Those kids got to trust you, man. I'll never forget one of my first years coaching here with him, and we were out fishing Lake Pan. And, I've always wanted to be a head coach. I knew that at an early age, and I asked him. And one time we were out fishing, I was like, "What do I need to do to be a head coach?" His advice to me was spend time with the kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, You need to do this for 2 years and then move up and do this for 2 years. No, you spend time with the kids.
Right.
You become a lot better coach when those kids, when you spend time with them.
Yeah.
And, I've always remembered that.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I've been told I had a situation where I was trying to coach a child and the child got upset, and the mom was just letting me know, like, hey, you need to know your kids a little bit better. And that's true because I didn't know this kid was, I didn't know anything about it. And it's important to know a little bit about someone before you kind of just jump in. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But, if you don't do that, you don't know, and that's how you have to remember these things. And so I took that into consideration. I was like, you know what, you're right. I don't know this kid. And so from then on, I was, try to get like a little, I don't need to know their life story, but I need to know a little bit like
something.
Yeah, absolutely. Something about them.
Same thing works, and same thing as a teacher in the classroom.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know nothing about rodeo. But if I know I have a student that does barrel racing, I might say, hey, did you watch the barrel race on TV this weekend? Or,
something.
Just something
to connect.
Connect, right. And where we could have a conversation, and
absolutely.
And they'll do anything for it. Kids ain't changed, man.
Oh,
kids have not changed. It's, in my opinion, it's the parents that change.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the kids will do anything for you.
Yeah.
As long as they know that you're in their corner.
Right. Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Penosofsky's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. Is the exterior of your home or business covered in dirt, mildew, or mold? Driveway or walkway stained? Pressure King can make your siding, deck, vents, and concrete look new again with no damage. Pressure King has cleaned the exterior of houses and businesses all over Sumter County area. Usually it takes less than a day and costs less than you would expect. Call AJ at 352-457-7209. Yeah, there's an old saying, you can't fool a child, and it's true because
100%.
Yeah, they know. If you try to feed them a line of bull, they're gonna see right through it, and just I don't really want to do this.
Our players know that when I'm not prepared as a coach, they know that. I mean, we can't show up. We just don't show up practice at 6 and okay, this is what we're gonna do today. Yeah. I mean, kids see right through that.
Yeah.
Right. Now there ain't a whole lot that's gone into this.
Right.
But, hopefully our kids don't see the work that we do, before we even get here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a lot of people don't realize it's not just kids. There are a lot of adults that don't have a clue how much time and preparation you put in each. I mean, like you say, from July till when we stop, and it's really there's no off season. There's always something going on.
These last few weeks have been crazy. With we had Keanu's camp, and we had our golf scramble, and we had our team camp. In the meantime, we're still trying to lift weights and run, and trying to get here to watch the middle school a little bit, so you start interacting with those kids. Yeah. It's been a fun 3 weeks.
Keeps you on your toes. Keeps you out of trouble.
My wife, it's like I told you before we got started. My wife's gonna be upset about this because I can't tell you last time I talked to her for 2 hours.
Well, I mean,
she will get jealous on this one.
I'll have her on and we'll talk for 2 hours to make up for it. No, I want to. We'll get into the team a little bit later on, but I wanted to just tell you how awesome I think it is that you guys have started a new tradition of going on to this camp. You know what I mean? We never done that before.
Camp is special to me. It's something I've always wanted to do. Yeah. It's not cheap.
No.
I mean, it costs a lot of money to do. I mean, we're taking 100 people away for 3 days and having to feed them. Take them out there in the middle of the woods. And coolest thing to me is the cell phones don't work.
Yeah.
And so those kids have to stay off those cell phones and they have to interact.
Yeah.
Not a lot of football, a lot of team bonding.
Yeah.
Just getting out and having a good time,
Yeah. Yeah.
There's one time I went down to the lake one time, and I think we had 15 different kids fishing in the lake in canoes. And there's kids fishing. I didn't even know they fished,
Yeah.
Or there's we're shooting pool, and, this one kid's pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was good at pool, or this kid swimming, had swimming races.
Yeah.
And, then the coaches had races, that the kids bought into that, and just have a good time. We canceled the last practice because I'm sitting there, I'm talking to Coach Goblay, and I'm going, me and Coach Goblay and Coach Everett were standing around going, guys, I'm canceling the last practice. Like what? I was like, guys, we can practice anytime.
Yeah.
We can't do this anytime.
Absolutely.
And when I say do this, just kids spending time with each other,
right.
And off their phones. And we get so far back in the woods that, those kids, they ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because there's bears. And I mean, we'll throughout the day, deer and turkey are running through the practice field. And we're way back in there.
Yeah.
And, so we've done that for 2 years, and it's been an awesome experience. Pastor Justin comes, he speaks to the team. We've done 3 different nights, or three times, and we have a motto each year, and this year's one mindset, one heartbeat, one tempo. And so Pastor Justin was able to speak on those 3 different subjects, and we do a couple other little special things, especially the seniors. And I asked the seniors last year when we got done the season, I was like, if you had to, did you want to go to camp? I'm like, Coach, camp was the best thing.
Yeah.
They're like, if you go next year, can we go with you? I'm like, no, y'all already graduated.
No, unless you pay your way.
So I was like, that answered my question. That's something those kids won't forget. And those coaches coaches bonding with the players.
Right.
It's a great time. Love camp.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, that's a great tool to use to bond the team. They get that chemistry going. And that's why they do these training camps in the NFL. I mean, these are I know they're multi-millionaires or billionaires or whatever they are, but it's nice to get them together and get build a team chemistry, and establish that early, and then that way you can. I mean, that's what being a unit's all about. A team is just one team. But I think it's a cool idea. And that was really cool. When I found out you guys were doing that, I was like, man, that is so cool, because it reminds me of what was the movie? Remember the Titans when they went off the camp?
Yeah, it's nothing like that.
No. Yeah. No, not like that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, but you left here and you went somewhere.
Yeah,
they couldn't.
And they had to sleep together. We're back in the cabins. These cabins are not comfortable whatsoever. Man. The mattresses are maybe an inch thick.
Oh my God!
And they have nicer rooms there.
Yeah.
No. We're going to the cabins, guys. Coach, we can and the coaches are in those cabins too.
Yeah.
They're sleeping on the same bunk. Coach Gauntlet was on the top bunk this year, and he had to get down in the middle of the night for something. And one of the kids, top water lures, got him in the bottom of his foot.
Oh no! Oh my God.
At 3 o'clock in the morning. So
that'll wake you up.
So man, Coach Gauntlet's a little baby. He complains, but no.
Sorry, Chris.
No, but I mean, there's 10 to a cabin, or there's 9 kids to a cabin and a coach.
Yeah.
So it's not like the coaches have the luxury beds.
Yeah.
We're in the cabins too. And love it.
Yeah, it's funny. We did an FCA camp when I was a freshman, and one summer. It was my freshman going into sophomore year, and I don't know if you know Billy Mills.
Oh yeah,
he took us, and we went to St. Simon's Island, Georgia, and they have like a little campus there, and they separated the girls from boys, and the girls got like a hotel room.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the guys got the platoon. I look like what do they call them? The barracks. Like you're in the Marines. You're like, oh my gosh! Like if you turn just right, you can see outside. So I'm like, what is this crap? But yeah, no, it's like I said, it's a team builder, and I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
So let's go back to what we were saying about, you said you wanted to be a head coach. So when did that come? And like when you realize, hey, look, I'm not probably going to be playing professional football, or if I even want to. I didn't even know if you wanted to, but you know what I'm saying.
I mean, everybody wants to play professional football.
When you realize the dream's over is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When you hang up the cleats.
I knew when I was a kid I was going to be a high school football coach. I knew that.
That's awesome.
Extremely early age.
Yeah.
Because I was around it, and I'm the kid at 9 years old who would ride his bike down in Leesburg High School and play on the bags and blow the whistle for the coach, whether it was Coach Foster or Coach Kennedy. Those guys, Coach Schapp was another head coach there at Leesburg when I was a kid. Those guys, I was the ball boy on Friday night. Leesburg was awful. When I say they were like 0-10.
Oh, wow.
1-9.
Yeah.
But I thought those guys walked on water, And so I knew at a young age that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And, a funny story is, not a funny story, but I always wanted to be a history teacher. And then I took an official visit to UCF. And one of the things you do on your official visit is you go to your major and you meet with a professor and all this thing. So I get to the professor, and it's the special education professor. I'm like, I don't want to teach special education. I want to be a history teacher. And he goes, well, why I got you. Why don't you learn about the program?
Yeah.
And I go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then since I can't even tell you the guy's name, but it was a professor at UCF, and I really thought that was, be a cool major to go into, and what great, just to change kids' lives,
Right.
And so I didn't know what I wanted. I thought I wanted to teach history, but after I met with him, so I ended up getting my special education degree, and did that for 10 or 12 years. But that's how I became a special ed teacher.
So you went on to that. Where did you teach your? Where did you teach? Like the first school you taught at was at.
I graduated from college in March of '98. Nobody's hiring a teacher in March.
No.
So my brother-in-law ran the Orlando Sentinel, the Lake Sentinel deliveries. And so he says, come deliver newspapers, and then that give you time during the day to find a job. I was like, okay. Well, delivering newspapers is the worst job in America. I've done roofing.
Yeah.
I've built pools. I've done concrete. I've thrown watermelons. I've mowed yards. I've done some manual labor jobs.
Right.
Worst job in America, throwing newspapers, because it's every.
Oh yeah.
The newspaper comes out every day.
Oh yeah.
And your friends are going to the beach, and you got the newspaper.
Right.
But anyway, so I started throwing newspapers in March, and then my car broke down, and I took it to my mechanic guy by the name of Scott Irving. And Mr. Scott, his wife is a Ville.
Okay.
Okay. So say, went by to get coffee. He goes, "You found a job yet, Ty?" I was like, "No, sir, not yet." But he goes, "You need to call Emmett Sherman at South Central High School." I said, "I don't know Coach Sherman." He said, "I'll call him right now for you." He gets on the phone, calls Emmett.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, "Yeah, tell him to come." It's like, "You want him here? You want him there now?" And he's like, and I'm in gym shorts, a white T-shirt. It's got newspaper ink all over it. And so, "Yeah, tell him to come right now." I was like, "I got to take a shower, my hair." And I've been up since midnight throwing newspaper.
Yeah, exactly.
He goes, "Nope, tell him to come now." And I came and interviewed with Emmett and Mr. Edwards an hour later. And so that's where I started here at South Sumter in 1998.
Okay.
The fall of 1998.
Let me ask you about the newspaper real quick. Did you ever have any funny stories about that? Do you have anything that stand out?
Okay. I don't know if I should say this or not, but when you go and get the newspaper, you got to put them in these plastic bags, right?
Right.
And so I would show up at the newspaper place at midnight. That's when you could get there. And so I'd take all the newspapers and put them in the bags. Mm-hmm. Well, by that time, it was like 2 o'clock. So my friends would be at the bar drinking. Well, they needed a ride home. So being the good friend that I am, I was like, "Look, I'll drive y'all home.
Yeah.
But you got to ride with me on the route." So I'd go pick them up, and we would throw newspapers till we got done, and then I'd take them home.
Somebody's got 4 of them in their yard.
No, they got home safe,
No,
so.
yeah, they did. The newspapers did it. They're in somebody's bird bath or on the roof or something.
That was funny.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's funny. So you come here in 1998. You come here. I was in high school, and I vaguely remembered some of the teachers, except for the ones that I tortured that I had in class.
Right.
I just saw PJ Harrison at the at Keys camp, and I was telling him a story how he was in the room by the band room. He was my English teacher my freshman year. And I was, stupid, young, messing with some girl, like trying to, fight her. And she turned around, "Come here," chasing me around school, And I came around that corner, and they've got one of those the hydrants, little water spigots, and I clipped that thing on my knee, and it swelled knee swelled up like a balloon. And I just hobbled in like a pirate into his classroom, and I looked down, and it's 10 times the size of my regular knee, and I just passed out in the class. And PJ says, "Mr. Goblay, get in your seat." So I'm out. I'm on the floor unconscious. I'm like, "Sir, I don't think he's moving." But so you get here, and what was your first impression of South Sumter? Like, what's the first thing you took away? Like, after you met Emmett and Coach Sherman and Bob Edwards. Mr. Edwards, sorry.
That's right.
But he was Mr. Bob Edwards, I can say that. Because he was there when I was there, Mr. Wood.
Love Mr. Wood.
Mr. Wood was awesome.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing you took away from your experience here?
Oh, they were just genuine, nice people, and they had your back.
Yeah.
You could tell that right off the bat.
Yeah.
I interviewed. Emmett calls me the next day and said, "Hey, we can offer you this." I'll take it.
Okay. I'll be there.
I interviewed 3 players. I interviewed here with Coach Sherman. I interviewed at Eustis High School with Coach Darlington, was at Eustis at the time, and a guy named Brent Hall was the head coach at Bellevue. And so I interviewed at Bellevue and Eustis and here. But Emmett's the one that called me back first.
Gotcha.
And I said, "I'll take it."
Yeah.
And so that's how it all ended up here.
Now, when you got here, were you here in time for spring? Did you coach football then?
I did coach in the spring.
Okay.
That was in the spring of '98.
Right.
Coach D line had Bobby Lambert was a D lineman.
Yep. Bobby.
Josh Miller played some D-line, linebacker.
Yeah.
And, Robbie Sargent was, Nathan
Rob.
C. I'm trying to think some of those guys, it's been a long time, but Charlie Hayes played defensive back. I love Charlie Hayes.
Yeah, Charlie's a good guy.
Still comes to our games. It's always good to see Charlie.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, what was the old boy's name? Played football. Was a high jumper and weightlifter for us.
He was a defensive player?
Yeah, and I'll think of it here in a second. But great athlete.
Yeah.
Coach weightlifting, and always had a Vera. Had a Vera on our weightlifting team from day one, all the way up till a few years ago. And that was really
kind of spread them out for us.
Oh yeah, I'll run into old weightlifting coaches that I used to coach against. Hey coach, you got any Vera? I mean, it still comes up. So he's a Vera.
Yeah, exactly. So when you came here and you did spring, and then the next year was, I believe it was 99, correct? I coached the spring before I even was teaching here. Right.
Okay, so then the season was 1998 season.
Okay, so 98 season. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which would be like Alan Shirley's
Curtis Robinson.
Curtis Robinson
was that guy's kid's name. Curtis was great, man.
Curtis is awesome.
I mean, Curtis finished in the top 6 in the state in high jump, and then the next day he finished in the top 4 in weightlifting. He's a great football player for us.
Did you ever see him play basketball?
Probably.
There was a game in.
He probably scored for the other team or something.
He did.
Gosh.
He was going the other way, and he's like, "Come on, guys!" And they're all like waving him off, like, "No!" And I think he does a layup. Yeah. And then he's like, "Yeah!" And they're like, "That was their goal." And he's like, "Yeah." But yeah, he's a cool guy. I used to work with him at McDonald's. That was my first job.
Yeah.
And him and David Green. And so funny story about them too. They set me up one time. David told, how quiet David Green is, So Curtis goes over to me and goes, "Hey man, do you know David's dad was an Olympic runner?" And I was like, "No, I didn't know that." He's like, "Yeah, you should go over there and ask him." So I walked over there to him and said, "David, how come you didn't tell me your dad was an Olympic athlete, runner?" And he's like, "Man, my dad doesn't have any legs." And I was like, I looked over at Curtis. I'm like, "I'm going to kill you." Like, hey, Curtis is dying laughing. He's like, "Ah." And I'm like, "Oh my God, who would do that?" David was straight faced. He's like, "Dude, my dad's got legs, man." I was like, "I don't know." So then I'm trying to think my senior year, because I've been posting some videos. I was coaching then. That was good. Yeah, that was a good time. Wild game.
Clay Crosley, McCoy Benjamin, AJ,
Big Tater.
Yeah, Tater.
Good God, I saw the video. Like this video, there's a clip of Tater catching this ball. He looks like a grown man out there.
Oh, he was big.
That's huge.
6'5", 6'6", 240. That's the receiver.
It's huge. Receivers, and he lined up. I'm like, looking at him, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, who is that?" I'm like, "That's Tater."
Terrence Jackson. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and another big guy I just recently remembered is him being big. Not remembering him was Brandon Bethel. Good God, Brandon was huge.
Yeah, I love Brandon. I was Center Hill boy. Oh yeah, they were in Little Egypt.
Little Hill brothers. Yeah. So I mean, you came in, you established, you said like a relationship. You started getting into our kids, and you just named off where these kids lived and things about them. So they made an impression on you. So what did you like? Did you feel like you were going to stay here long, or did you know that you were going to go elsewhere, or what was the plan?
I don't know. I coached D-line for 1 year, and then the guy back home in Leesburg, a guy named Bud O'Hara, I felt my dream job was to be the head football coach at Leesburg High School.
Yeah.
That ain't much of a dream, but that was what I wanted. That was my goal from a kid.
Right.
I was going to be the head football coach of Leesburg, and I was going to bring home state championships to Leesburg and this and that. That's what I wanted to do. And it's funny how, when you start getting into it, your mindset changes. But so I always want to go back home and coach there. And so after my first year here at South Central, I did go back to Leesburg, and it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
It was different over here.
Yeah. And
so I coached there for a year or so, and then I called in. I made that phone call. And Coach Irby was the offensive line coach here with Coach Wade and we always stayed in contact. And it's like, Coach Irby, I think I'd like to come back. He goes, you want to come back? And I'll talk to Coach Sherman. It's like, I don't want to come back. He goes, all right, let me talk to Coach Sherman. And Sherman's like, yeah. So Coach Sherman brought me back. So I was very fortunate. I mean, he didn't have to do that. And so that grass wasn't greener.
Well, they say when the grass is greener, they got a higher water bill. You said Bud O'Hara. Is that the Bud O'Hara from was he over at East Ridge? Okay, yeah.
Same guy.
Okay, that's what I thought. When I heard that name, I'm like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was at Leesburg.
Great guy to work for. I mean, I learned stuff. Bud is huge on the man, not the player, the man.
Yeah,
and making your players better men.
Right.
It was a great experience. You never know what God's plan is, and
True.
And He put me in that situation probably to, teach me how to coach, how to make boys into men.
Yeah, and
that was big influential part of my coaching. Was able to coach with a guy there named Price Harris, who's now the head coach at Madison County, and I talk to Price every day.
Yeah.
So you develop those relationships, and it was great to work for Bud. Bud's a top-notch guy. Yeah. And he was a top coach at East Ridge too, and since they got rid of Bud, East Ridge hasn't been the same.
Nope.
And the reason they got rid of him was because he was turning boys into men, and it rubbed some people the wrong way, and they got rid of him, and they ain't been the same.
Right.
And they won't be the same.
Yeah.
And that's on them, and I feel very strongly on that. When they got rid of Bud, I was like, that program will go down, and they will not ever recover, because they got rid of him for the wrong reasons, in my opinion, and it's bit them in the butt.
Yeah.
They had some great team. We had some great battle. I mean, we played them every year, and it was great games.
I was gonna say, like, he put East Ridge on the map, and and like you said, the games were awesome. And I always wondered why Coach Sherman wanted to play him every year. And I think I asked him one time. He said, "Look, you play great teams to make you better. You don't play teams that are, you're going to win."
Absolutely.
That's why we play Bishop Moore and all those other teams.
We knew when we left the game with East Ridge early in the season. Yeah. We knew what we had to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And they beat us more times than we beat them.
Oh, yeah.
But after the game, we knew what we had to work on.
Right.
What we had to change.
Yeah.
And early in the season, too. And so that state runner-up team, I don't know how we lost that game, but we did. But that's the only interception Jared Fleming threw that whole season.
Right.
And, after that game, you look and say, Coach, I ain't going to throw another one.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
Yeah.
But that game taught.
Right.
It made us better.
Right. Promotional consideration paid for by the following: Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right.
It kind of reminds me of the Tebow game with Ole Miss, and they lost Ole Miss, and he was like, "Look, we're not going to lose again. This is it. Whether whoever we play, whatever we do, we're going to be better." And I get, that does make you better when you play a talented team like East Ridge. I mean, they were, oh my gosh. I mean, like those games in East Ridge were tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
fun.
They were really fun.
Love those games. Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like was it's nighttime. And I had to listen to that guy all the time because he's right below me. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. But I mean, I think we've got a ton of coaches around here that are like, they could coach college football. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that are very talented guys that nobody really knows about. Yeah. Like the Bud O'Hares and Coach Sherman. I mean, we know Coach Sherman, but the people from Orlando know Coach Sherman.
Oh, they know.
I mean, I'm just saying, like all of them. I mean, there's some old timer guys, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's amazing how when you talk about someone for a long time and then they're not there anymore. And the newer generation, it's like somebody gave an example about like Michael Jackson. Everybody knows Michael Jackson, but you ask these kids and ask my niece, she's 7. She don't know who Michael Jackson is. My niece is 12. You ask her, she don't know who Michael Jackson is, but everybody knew who Michael Jackson was. But when he's gone, everybody's it's different.
Yeah.
So you come here, you come back. Was there I thought you went to Apopka for a little bit. When was that?
I did, but
what was that like?
It's different.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a big South Sumter. They're country folks.
They got a big school.
Love coaching Apopka kids.
Yeah.
They're different.
Yeah.
Mentally they're different. They were fun kids to coach.
Yeah.
Just like our kids.
Yeah.
Coaching at South Sumter and coaching at Apopka is different than, say, coaching at the Villages or Leesburg.
Right.
The kids are different.
Yeah.
It is. Whether it's bred into them or their dads play, their granddads play. There's a lot of pride,
Right.
There's a lot of pride with South Sumter kids. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pride with the Apopka kids too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I was able to go over there. That was after our state runner-up team. So I went over there in 2006. Again, was paid a lot more money.
Yeah.
To go over there and do it.
Yeah.
But if I did it for the money, I wouldn't be doing this job,
Right. Not with all the responsibility.
But it was just too big.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to my first teacher meeting over there. I mean, there's like 400 teachers.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, how am I even going to know who these people are?
Yeah.
And I work with them.
Yeah.
It was very eye-opening.
Yeah.
Be around some great coaches, be around some great kids, still talk to those kids today that I coached at linebacker. Danny White and Your Highness are good buddies. I coached Danny at linebacker over there, and I coached Your Highness over here at linebacker. They played against each other. One of my favorite pictures is Your Highness is at FAU, and Danny is at UAB, and they play each other. Well, before the game, they get together, and they take a picture, and they send it to me. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so Danny was a kid that lived in Pine Hills, but his parents didn't want him going to Jones or Evans over there, and so he came to Apopka, and great kid to coach. And Danny Williams, the kid I coached over there, is a Navy SEAL, Army Ranger.
Oh, cool.
But still,
an elite force.
Tough.
Yeah.
Toughest kid I've ever coached. I mean, he dislocated his shoulder probably twice a week.
Yeah.
And just would fight through it. And he's an Army Ranger now, doing great. And Pooh Bear Mars is another kid I coached over there. Played in the U.S. Army All-American game, and played at FIU. And old Barry, this old boy, his dad, Sheriff Barry, was the Orange County Sheriff. his two boys played for us, Robert Berry and anyway, I forget the other one. But he was an all-state football player, all-state soccer player, all-state baseball player. Great kid. I mean, great athlete. Won 2 national championships at University of South Carolina in baseball, and was a starting right fielder one year. The next year, they won the second national championship. He was the catcher. So, I mean, very first. I mean, but those are some of the kids I coached over there. That was fun to coach, and but I did it for a year and had to make that phone call to Coach Sherman. Said, Coach, I'm ready to come back, and I ain't leaving this time. And he said, well, come on. And I ain't left since. So I've been here since 2007, and you know, as I was trying to find my way too, you know, and you know, didn't have my dad to help guide, you know, that type of deal. And when you go and Coach Sherman always lets you do what you want to do, you know? And never one time did he get upset when I told him I was leaving. It's the hardest thing I ever had to do. Just tell Coach Sherman I was leaving. And, he didn't get upset or didn't seem to be upset when I left, you know, but always he brought me back both times. I'm very grateful for that.
That's cool. When you came back, did you have any games that were like, you know, or anything after that kind of stuck out before, you know, like as a, like, I guess what I'm saying is, who were our tough guys we played? Those like coming up that in the years after that. I mean, besides Bowles and Madison, I think that was the same year that we beat Bowles and then at home, and then Madison came here and we lost to Madison.
I'm getting old because I started forgetting who graduated when, you know, and but just different games that
like anything that sticks out.
And it's always fun beating Bowles. You know, but different games that stick out. You know, the one that really always sticks out to me is probably the hardest first round game in South Central history was in 2012 when we played Range. That team was good, dude. You know, and I don't know how we played them first round. You know, they were a district runner up to Bowles. You know, and so then we had to play Bowles in the second round, but that was a good game. That Range game sticks out. You know, it was a fun game, and there's a lot of fun games. You know, the ones that are close I love, like, you know, the ones I lose sleep over. I mean, that's what I love about it. You know, the ones that keep you up all night throughout the week, preparing for, not the ones that are easy. The ones that are easy, you're just trying to get through those. But anytime you play, like the Lakewood team we played was unreal. I mean, that team had like 7 or 8 NFL players. And I mean, we had no idea. I mean, we had no business being in a ball game, you know, and should have won. So that Lakewood game, that quarterback was Ryan Davis was his name, and he was special. So you know, just I mean, there's
a couple guys on that team looked like they were about 25 years old, and they were like
they were good. They were good. You know, and the Isaiah Wing kid was a first round draft choice that played at Georgia. You know, and we played some really good players over the years. That you know. We played C.J. Spiller at the time. We held C.J. Spiller to 25 yards, you know, and that's probably the fastest kid I've ever seen on the field. But you about to see one faster. We got one that's fast. Jakir Turner where he can fly.
I'm excited about that.
But up until him, C.J. Spiller's fastest kid I've seen on the field.
Well, we had John Capel. That's the fastest guy I've ever seen.
Yeah, I never saw John
Yeah, he was there
play, and you see him play at the University of Florida, but I never saw him in high school.
They didn't utilize him at Florida like they should have. They gave him
typical Florida fan.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it's true though. I mean, they really didn't. If you've seen like the guys that they had at the time, they put him in. They gave him like a jet sweep or something like that on the 5-yard line. I mean, it's 5 yards. You let him run.
If he had scored, you'd have been.
He did score. I'm not complaining about the score. I'm just saying they didn't utilize him. I think
Florida fans. That's why I'm a Florida State fan.
Yeah, I know. We've heard that story already. So speaking of players, you know, I'm not going to make you, pick a favorite, but name some of the guys that stick out that you're like, man, these guys.
Oh, I can pick favorites. Yeah. I have no problem.
Well, I mean, if you want to, go ahead.
I mean, okay, so coaching linebacker here at South Sumter is special.
Yeah.
It's like you read all these things all the time about, DBU and, LSU and Florida. I'm like, you start counting the daggum linebackers that we've had here,
Yeah.
We've been fortunate to have some great players. And, the ones I think of are Earl and Ben, Kendall, Shea Bass. Shea Bass is meaner than a rattlesnake. He was a fun kid to coach. Yeah. Purple. Brandon Ford, Nick Martinez, Brady Jackson, John Harrell, Mike McCrimmon, Kendall Smith, Your Highness. The list is long. Yeah. Pedro Hasso would knock you out. We've had some, just... we got one this year, son, to knock you out too.
Yeah.
Malachi Boone. He fits right in with all those guys.
Yeah.
And we are extremely fortunate. And I don't know why. I don't know why we have so many great line. I don't know.
We got tough kids though.
They're fun, man.
Yeah, fun.
Trenton Martin was a tough kid. Devin Jesmer, tough.
Yeah.
And loved to be coached, and would run downhill and read guards. And I'm leaving guys out. Bryce Hatcher, I'll never forget Bryce Hatcher's senior last walk speech. Never. I'll never forget it. And so it's always special.
Yeah. Yeah. Some special group of guys. And I think that's what makes it. Like, when we have these guys that come back and are able to, like, talk to other kids, when they come, like I was telling somebody the other day, we have former players come to our games and our kids, like, everybody they go crazy because it's like, they're like celebs, like celebrities. They're like, when the former alumni comes in, and it's a special thing, they can.
Yeah, absolutely. I love our older guys coming back.
Oh yeah, me too. I love it.
We have people say, "Hey, do you want them on the sideline?" Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
They help build this.
Absolutely.
To me, it's like colleges. Like you go to a college football game and the old players are on the sideline and stuff. They help build that.
Oh, yeah.
I want them here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want their kids here. I want their grandkids here.
Yeah.
I want them on our sideline.
Right.
And it's that special to me. And the further you go in the playoffs, the more there are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And when you have old players on your sideline, that means you had a good season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. When we were 0-9, we didn't have many.
Yeah. That was a tough year.
Tough. Yeah, it was tough. But but when you have those older players come back and want to be on the sideline, they could be doing 100 other things. But they chose those 3 hours to be with us again on our side. Dude, that's special to me. That is so special.
Yeah. One of the things that I love and that I never will ever hear you say no to is that.
Never.
Like somebody comes and they go, "Hey coach, can I come to the game? Or can I come in the locker room before?" And you're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah." Like I've never
we're in our weight room now, and one thing we used to do is we used to take our kids each summer, take them over to the gym where the chair storage room is, where the first weight room was when Coach Sherman got here,
Right.
and we took them over there and showed them that. Then we'd walk them out to the concrete stadium that the weight room was underneath it, and we take them to that 10 by 10 room, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we bring them in here. Say this is where we used to live, and now this is where we live now.
Yep.
You know, and this place is special.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to pull up the bay doors for air conditioning.
Yep.
That was air conditioning.
4 bay doors. Yeah.
And if it was too cold, we'd leave them down.
You better leave them down.
Coach Sherman bought Coach Coburn a heater one year. That heater, Billy, was about
Space heater.
it was a space heater.
Yeah, space heater.
And Coach Sherman had the county hanging up in the corner, like it was going to do anything at all, you know?
Because the heat rises, it's not even coming down.
And if it started raining, you had to bring those doors down so rain wouldn't come.
It wouldn't come inside. Yeah.
Now we got air conditioning.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the weight room is twice the size.
Oh yeah.
We've got equipment from Sornex. I mean, it's top of the. I mean, you can't find many high school weight rooms like this. I mean, and for those guys that helped build this. I mean, guys, if we were going 0-10, 1-9, 2-8, we wouldn't have all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Those guys sweated and worked. And that's why we were good.
Yeah.
And we have this now, and those kids I want them guys back here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that means more to me than a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? I hope our kids, when we go to different schools, like when we go to North Marion, their weight room is super old. It's the
ceiling's like 6 foot high.
Yeah, it's not very big, and there's not much room. And so it's like, or like when we went to Springstead, and it was like, it was older, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I know we had older stuff too, so I know how it is. But what I'm saying is, I hope our kids take a mental picture and go, look, we got it pretty good. Like, we got it really good.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
each year we try to do something a little bit more for our program.
Absolutely.
We want to, we consider our program one of the best in Central Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
And as far as facilities, as far as the program itself, I mean, it's everything across the board. We want to be the standard.
Right.
You know, and, so most definitely old guys coming back. You know, it's like Nick Martinez is going to be a season sponsor for us.
Yeah.
You know, I'm about to start crying when he called me wanted to do it. You know, I was like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. You know, and I always want those old guys. You know, one of the best practices we have is Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah.
We'll have 150, 200 people at our practice.
Yeah.
And it's all old guys coming back. They used to play.
Or their dads or.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's special.
So you see like a third generation almost, like, you know. I mean, it is. It makes and it shows that people do care. They want to be there, you know, like you said earlier. They could be doing anything else they wanted to.
And they chose us.
They chose us.
Thanks for watching part 1 of this 2-part segment. Stay tuned for part 2.